So why can California get away with such shitty policy? I think in the last 10 years especially, California has had some very controversial and some very downright stupid policy changes. Obviously from high regulation to higher taxes to not having the typical entrepreneurial incentives that it normally had throughout its history for like Silicon Valley and that kind of stuff. But I think the fundamental biggest problem was the property crime kind of thing, where you could steal what over up to $1,000 or up to $1,500, something like that, and pretty much not be prosecuted, which is virtually legalizing theft, which is a insane idea. I've heard accounts of Californians of just like them literally seeing people steal and security guards wouldn't be able to do anything about it. They've told me that shops in California, they even instated like face recognition so that they could add up what you're stealing, so that once you got past $1,000, then they would do something about it. So obviously some very stupid, very shitty policy that I think you can appreciate that is stupid regardless of what your political positions are. And the big question for this is like how did California even get away with it? How does it apply such stupid policy and still have people want to move there, people stay there, and sure, some people are leaving, but overall, California is still growing, and even economically, it's also still growing. And so that begs the question: well, how can it survive? And this all goes back to a few other videos that I did. I did a few videos on why cold countries are rich and warm countries are poor, which goes into a broader narrative of if people don't want to leave, they're not going to leave, and you're going to be able to do whatever you want with them. And I think California, in that sense, it suffers the same as Spain or Italy or Portugal, in the sense that they have a very attractive climate, culture, and weather and geography that just makes people want to stick. And obviously, I think if you've ever heard anyone from Southern California talk about Southern California, they're going to tell you, or if you've even been to Southern California, you're going to know that the weather is always perfect and it's always sunny and 70 degrees and like no clouds in the sky, and it's always nice, and you can go in there in December or in July and it's going to be pleasant, and it's like a dry kind of heat, so it isn't as bad as like Florida or the deep south. And so obviously you're close to beautiful beaches that are like in a great ocean to surf, for example, to have a good lifestyle, but you're also like an hour away from mountains where you can ski. And so the geographic vibe, the climate vibe, even the culture vibe with Hollywood and all that in California, it's just kind of too strong. And if you grew up there, or if you have this sort of California dream and you move there, the probability that some shitty specific government policy is going to drive you away is actually smaller than, for example, if you lived in West Virginia, where West Virginia has nothing going for it. And so obviously any sort of shitty policy drives people away, which is what's been happening. West Virginia, I think, is the one state with like the lowest immigrant population, and also one of the most consistently losing population to other states. And so it goes to show like there's a reason for that. Not to say that there aren't like great aspects to West Virginia. I've never been to West Virginia. I've never even been to California, to be honest. But I think the main reason California can still pull so many people is that it has this dream to it. It has this romanticism to it, and it's partially true. Like I've lived in places with very shitty weather, and I've lived in places with wonderful weather. I've lived in Rome. Rome has overall very good weather, even though it's pretty muggy in the summer. I've lived in England, where no matter where you are in England, weather's going to be mid, like at best, and particularly where I lived with Northwest England, it was pretty shitty weather. And I've also lived in Brazil, where, well, at least the place I lived in Brazil has literally possibly the best weather year round that I've ever seen, where it's never above 90 and it's never below 55, like ever. So it's like really good, mostly sunny. And obviously that's a very interesting weather pattern. I've also been around and I've seen what like real cold feels like, and I've seen what real heat feels like. And no matter what people want to say, people want to claim that they're very rational about their decision, and they're going to be like, no, what is the policy like and what are the salaries like? But the truth is, like, human beings are much more emotional and they're much more subjective about those sort of things. And like, if they see a beautiful beach, they want to live next to the beautiful beach. Like, it's kind of that simple. If they see beautiful mountains, they're gonna live. They're gonna want to live, or at least they're gonna visit the beautiful mountains. And the thing with California, it's just like, it's sort of heaven on earth. It's just like, it's been everything has just been put there in a way where it has a charm that's undeniable, and it makes people want to stick to the Golden State, to the beautiful state, regardless of, like I said, many of the shitty policies that have been made, that have been applied. And like I said, it's a recurring thing. Like, good countries, I was talking about Brazil earlier. Brazil has just such good vibe and weather and culture and dancing, and I don't know, it's hard to explain. And like, the Brazilian government sucks objectively, and it's enacted some terrible policy. And obviously some Brazilians have left. The reason not all Brazilians have left is they're still in Brazil. You know, no matter what the policy is, you're still in Brazil. No matter what the policy is, you're still in Italy, you're still in Spain, you're still in Portugal. And these sort of paradise states, these sort of paradise places, really, they get away with that because, end all be all, people want to stay there. And it's not going to change based on one or two bad policies. Obviously, I'm not telling you to stay in California or to not stay in California. I really want to visit though. Like, I've in the US in particular, I've only been to the Northeast and to Florida, so I'm very limited. I mean, I was in Chicago for a couple hours, but that doesn't count. So yeah, it's been. I've still got a lot to explore in the US. But yeah, overall, I think this is the main reason why California can pretty much get away with anything.